Hey, everybody, this is Ralph back with another stream. This one, we're going to be talking about mantras, affirmations, and manifestation. How do they relate? Can you use mantras to help you manifest a better life? Can you use affirmations to help you manifest a better life? And what's the difference between a mantra and an affirmation? And why can they both be useful tools for making positive change in your life? And the first one I want to start out with is mantra. Usually a mantra is something that you say, something that you believe concerning the God of your understanding, concerning some form of God. In a lot of the ones that people are familiar with, mantras, sometimes they're in Sanskrit or Pali, sometimes they're in English. The ones that I've memorized, most of them are in Sanskrit, but it's like Om Namah Shivaya. It's like, it's a very simple mantra saying, Siva, I bow to you. Another one, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Another mantra about God here saying, honoring the God form of Vishnu, the one, the source of all, the one who is to be praised, and just saying, I bow before you. And so, yeah, some mantras are keyed towards specific views about God as you, the user of the mantra, understand God. It can be about Jesus. It can be about any form of God. It can also be about principles of nature. It can be anything that you hold to be sacred. Another view of a mantra that is not related to honoring a form of God, but another form of mantra is honoring a sacred principle. Like it was once said that when NASA went from the Apollo program to sending out, small probes everywhere in the solar system. Instead of putting people in space, they're putting robots and probes in space. The mantra of NASA went from, we will land a man on the moon and bring him safely back to Earth. It went from being that to smaller, cheaper, faster. Smaller, cheaper, faster. And a lot of people that worked in NASA during that change, during that shift in thinking, said, yeah, they were repeating that phrase so often, it became like the new mantra for NASA, smaller, cheaper, faster. We need to get a lot done without a lot of money, and we need to get it done right now. So, yeah, a mantra can be honoring a form of God as you understand God, or it can be remembering or honoring some sort of a sacred principle. And this can be like, God is love, which kind of brings in the thought form of God with the thought form of love, and the idea of love, the transcendental quality of love, combines them together in that one simple phrase that could be used as a mantra. God is love. Mantras can be anything like that. But usually, yeah, mantra is meant to remind the person that uses it something that they need to be aware of concerning the God of their understanding or some sort of sacred principle. And when you are remembering this in the terms of your own life, then it reminds you, okay, this is what I believe, so this is what I must also practice in my outer world. And so, yeah, mantras have the power to change us just by using them, much in a similar way as do affirmations. Now, affirmations differ from mantras in that usually affirmations are about something that we want to change specifically about ourselves. You don't have to believe in a God form, or any sacred principles. You just have to realize that there is something about you that you want to change, and you use an affirmation to help you tell a better story about yourself. And like if you feel like you're scared all the time, you can use an affirmation like, I have the power to overcome my fear and to show bravery in the outer world. Or the mantra can be very simple, like, I am brave. I am courage. I am, fill in the blank there, whatever you feel that you need to be. Just make a simple I am statement. I am brave. I am bold. I am up for the challenge. And so, yeah, an affirmation, it can include God if you want it to include God, or it can just focus entirely upon what it is that you want to change in your life. Now, both mantras and affirmations do have the power to make positive change in your life. One author that I have read to a great deal is the New Thought writer Emmett Fox. And way back in the early days of the 20th century, he wrote a very simple pamphlet called The Golden Key. And it's extremely thin pamphlet. And I have it printed on like 2 or 3 pieces of paper. You can shoot through the whole thing in just a few minutes reading. And it's a very simple technique for making positive change in your life by just thinking about God. That's it. And the way Emmett Fox teaches this technique is that he just keeps it very simple. He simply says that when you are faced with a problem and you don't know how you're going to overcome that problem, whenever you find yourself thinking about the problem, just think about God instead. Take the problem, set it aside, and just think about God instead. And he doesn't give you any specific formula, like saying this mantra or that mantra for 108 times or 18 times. He just says, think of God instead. And then once you get the feeling in your heart that the problem is no longer there, that you have put God, as you understand God, in the place of that problem, then you have successfully completed the golden key. And I practiced this because we went through a period, about 15 years ago, when we first started making some major changes in our life. We had financial problems. We were getting some debt problems. They were leading to legal problems. And it's like our income was just at the point where I didn't know how we were going to make ends meet and face all these different obligations. And yeah, it finally came to the head where we had some significant legal and financial issues come up. And I just decided, okay, I've been reading Emmett Fox. I'm going to use the golden key, and we're just going to see how this works. And what I did is that I just thought about all the things that I believe that I know about God, and just repeated that over to myself. Whenever I felt worried, I would take that thought of worry and replace it with the thought of God. And I mean, it was just very simple. I didn't even write it out. It was just, the old song, What If God Was One of Us? I kind of based my mantra on that song. I just told myself, God is great. God is good. God is with me now. Just a simple 3-step formula. God is good. God is great. God is with me now. And when I felt worried about our finances, I just closed my eyes and think, God is good. God is great. God is with me now. And it was that last part that really made me feel empowered. Because if you've practiced meditation for any length of time, you begin to understand that you are connected with the God of your understanding. None of us are really separate from God. A lot of us suffer from the illusion of being separate from God. But once you learn, how interconnected everything is, you never walk through this world or any other world alone. God is a part of you. Separation from God is an illusion. And through meditation, we help to overcome that illusion of separation. That's my worldview anyway. And that's what I brought into this practice of the golden key. And what I found is that as we were driving in for a court date, in which I did not know how the court date was going to go, but I felt confident. Every time that I thought about the court date, every time that I thought about standing up in court and defending myself, because, they say that a lawyer who represents himself in court has a fool for a client. Well, as they say in the Addams Family, I was that fool. We went into that courtroom with no legal representation, and I was confident. I was using the golden key, and I felt good about it. And as we were driving in to, appear for the court date, it's like I just kept that mantra going in my mind. God is good. God is great. God is with me now. And we got to the courthouse. Everybody was polite. Everybody was nice. The police that we dealt with were really kind of fun to work with. And everything was great. We went through the metal detectors. We went into the courtroom. And then finally, when our case was called up, the judge kind of came at us pretty hard. And my wife began to cry because, she was embarrassed. And I just stood there rather confidently. And, the judge motioned and said, here's a box of Kleenexes for your wife. And then she told me the charges. And I said, yeah, this is basically, that's pretty much what happened, because we had an inability to pay, but we are working on resolving this issue, and we are wanting to resolve this debt. It was a debt that really got out of hand because of miscommunications. The people were forwarding our mail to the wrong address, and so we were not getting the notifications that we should have been getting notified about. And I wasn't hearing anything from the debtor, so I thought, okay, we got all the time in the world to clear this thing up. Turns out we didn't, because all of the letters were going to the wrong address. And so, we just kind of worked things out just in about 15 minutes. Standing in that courtroom, the judge could tell, okay, these people are not trying to dodge this debt. He is trying to work with us. The plaintiff was there. The representative for the plaintiff was there. And we just right there on the fly, we just said, okay, we can make arrangements. I can afford to pay, so much per month, and we will keep this up for about a year. And by that time, the debt should be paid in full. And it was something I was confident about it because, I felt like I couldn't lose. I was just repeating that mantra in my mind over and over again. God is good. God is great. God is with me now. And that just gave me a level of self-confidence that these other people could see. And they worked with us. And I knew they would, which is really a funny thing because I'd never met any of these people before. I had no previous history with any of these folks. But I just knew it was going to go our way. Things were going to work out. And that is exactly what happened. So by telling yourself a story and incorporating a mantra has the power to make positive change in your life because you are taking a problem in your life, a real physical problem, a specific problem, and you are taking that problem, you are replacing it with the God of your understanding. And that's the power of mantra to me, a God-based mantra. And by that, I don't mean any specific religious understanding of God. Just talking about the general God of your understanding. However you understand God, that's good enough. Run with it. And when you take your problems and you replace them with God, that has power to make positive change in your life. So it's like the power of mantra is once you've been doing it for a while, a long time, you feel like you're not alone. That's really our Achilles heel in this human life, that this material life that we're going through right now. A lot of times we feel like we are separate individuals acting alone with all these other folks out there that are really just out to get us. God is sitting up there on a cloud, ignoring us, or sometimes maybe we think he's pointing down, laughing at us. And yeah, it causes a lot of stress because we think that we're in a hostile world. God could care less about us. And yeah, we're facing our troubles alone. And that is disturbing. That can really drive you nuts if you let it. Mantra reminds us that, okay, God is not just out there sitting on a cloud, ignoring you. God is not out there pointing a finger down from heaven, laughing at you. Although I do believe that the God of my understanding definitely has a wicked sense of humor. But no, God is within you. And once you get that realization, that takes that fear, it dispels it. And yeah, the power of mantra is that it reminds you as often as you need to be reminded that God is with you, the God of your understanding. And yeah, you can use mantras that are pre-made. You want to chant some really cool sounding Sanskrit mantras. Okay, that's okay. I recommend, reading the translation, know what you're putting into your heart and your mind and your soul. Or you can just craft your own mantras based on your understanding of the God of your understanding. I think that has more power to it, actually. May not sound as cool, may not sound very poetic, but I mean, why are you doing mantra? Is it to look cool, to sound cool, or is it to honor the God of your understanding? And and to take the God of your understanding, make sure that understanding, that divine thought form, is right in your heart, leading you in your life. And that has the power to make tremendous change. Now, for folks that are not religious, maybe not overly spiritual, maybe you're not sure about God at all, maybe an atheist, maybe an agnostic, maybe grew up in a church that really wounded you to a great extent, so you're not comfortable talking about God or thinking about God, affirmations can be used. Just take a certain principle that you want to manifest in your life, a certain thing that you want to change about your life, and go in there and change it. Just tell yourself a better story. And that's the power of affirmation. It's different from mantra, but if you do it on a regular basis, and again, if you find yourself being worried about something, you can do something similar to the golden key. But instead of taking the fear or the worry or the doubt and replacing it with the God of your understanding, you replace it with with an affirmation, really a better story about yourself. If you find yourself saying to yourself, I'm stupid, I'm slow, I'm tired, I don't have the patience for this stuff, tell yourself a different story. Replace those negative thoughts with, I am good enough, I'm smart enough, I'm good enough, and by golly, people like me. To rephrase that guy, Al Franken, I believe it was, made that phrase popular. But there's a lot of power to that too. And just tell yourself a better story on a regular basis. Take that negative story full of self-doubt, maybe self-loathing, and unconfidence, and replace it with self-love, courage, self-confidence, faith in yourself. And that's where mantra and affirmation really do work together really well, because they're both based on faith. Mantra, we initially we believe it's talking about the faith we have in the God of our understanding. But then after we do mantra and meditation long enough, we come to the realization that the God of our understanding is within. Affirmation, it's all about faith too. Telling yourself you have faith in yourself. You have faith that the story that you're telling yourself about how you want to change, how you want to improve your life, that you do have a certain level of faith. You just need to increase that faith. And by using affirmations on a regular basis, you can develop faith in yourself. And then once you come to have faith in yourself, you can begin to spread that outwards. And you can begin to learn to have faith in other people. Because when you believe in you, other people will start to believe in you, and you will start to believe in other people. And then from there, it can spread out much further. You can start thinking about spiritual things, ideas of God, concepts of God, God forms, and just begin to realize the universe is not out to get me. The universe is actually working for my good. I just need to work with the universe, or even just step aside and let the universe take over. So, yeah, mantra, affirmation, it's all about faith in the final analysis. But with mantra, yeah, we focus on the divine at first, and then bring that divine in within. That focus on the divine from outwards to inwards. And in affirmation, it's all about the inward journey. And then once we improve ourselves inwardly, we then begin to show that improvement outwardly into the outer world. But they are connected. They're joined together by faith, and I think they will both lead ultimately to the same destination, where you are having faith in yourself, faith in the universe, and faith in the God of your understanding. The thing that really kills us, though, is this illusion of separation. When we see ourselves as being separate from everybody else and God and the universe, and we begin to think nasty thoughts about how everyone is out to get us, sets us up for some real crazy thinking, some real stinking thinking. But once we begin to get that level of self-confidence where we know we are not walking through this world alone, and everybody's not, in fact, out to get us, there are at least a few good people out there that we can connect with and join forces with, then that gives us hope, gives us some empowerment. And once we get to the point of knowing that the God of our understanding is a living, indwelling spirit that never leaves us, you can face anything out there. Nothing to be afraid of. I believe it was the Course in Miracles. I'm not sure about this quote, but it's a beautiful quote, though. I don't exactly know who to attribute it to. But the quote goes, "If you only knew who walks beside you, you would never be afraid again." And I like to add to that, if you only knew who lives within you, you will never be afraid again. But yet, no matter how much faith that you have, no matter how much self-confidence you have, fears, doubts, they do arise from time to time. And one of the functions of mantra and affirmation alike is to take that fear and deal with it in a positive way. Just remind yourself that you, in fact, are not alone. You, in fact, are not yesterday's garbage. You, in fact, deserve better than maybe you thought before. So, and once you know that with humility, you can go far. You can. So, that is it for today's stream. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about mantras and affirmations. What are some of your favorite mantras and affirmations? And Yeah, feel free to write your own mantras. I know the way I have this worded, some people may have come to this video thinking I'd be sharing some specific mantras and affirmations. But I think the most powerful mantras and affirmations that you can use are the ones that you create for yourself. So, yeah, just sit down, write out what you want to achieve in your life, state it in a positive way, and let that become your mantra. And then use that and use it on a regular basis. See if things don't begin to change for you. But yeah, craft your own mantras, craft your own affirmations, and let spirit of your understanding take you where you need to go. So that's all for now. Ralph signing out. Catch you in future streams, my friends. Thank you, as always, for dropping by.